sitting in my office recording a video is not my idea of living the dream. So why am I here? Well, I hope those of you who know me will agree that I'm a straight shooter. Sadly, what I'm about to comment on is anything but straight. And what I mean by that is the publicity around three things, being one, small business advisory, we are Indigo; two, government agency, Callaghan Innovation; and three, a leaked due diligence report. I'll begin with a brief preamble on those three aforementioned things. Firstly, we are Indigo. In 2021, there were disputes between We Are Indigo shareholders, Andy Hamilton, Pat McPhee, Monty Beetham, and two other businesses, K&J Growth, owned by Cal Panahor, and Choice, owned by Sarah Colcord. I stand to be corrected, but my understanding is those disputes were eventually resolved. However, bigger than the disputes is questions around the significant government funding that was involved. Government funding means Crown money, taxpayer money, and that changes everything. It changes it from a private matter to a civil matter. That's number one. Number two is Callaghan Innovation. For a whole bunch of valid reasons, Callaghan conducted due diligence on a number of service providers who were applying to deliver government-funded programs for tech startup businesses. One of the service providers that went through the Callaghan due diligence process was We Are Indigo. And that leads us straight into number three, being the due diligence report commissioned by Callaghan. This report is ugly for two reasons. Okay, number one, Callaghan appointed a company called Isocorp, owned by John Borland, to do the due diligence. This was despite an obvious conflict of interest. Callaghan has attempted to avoid responsibility by saying the conflict of interest was not declared by Isocorp, and furthermore, it would not have changed their views. That is bureaucratic Teflon and a big red flag. It suggests there are cultural issues inside of Callaghan, and that needs closer scrutiny. Seriously, folks, it is really hard to believe the conflict of interest was missed by the entire Callaghan leadership team and its board. That is the gold standard of being economical with the truth. The second issue with the taxpayer-funded due diligence report is that it wasn't just leaked. It was aggressively distributed to the media, the National Party, and actually anyone else interested in signing up for a public witch hunt. When the leaked report arrived in my inbox, it was obvious to me what was going on, and I was not about to dignify it by reading it. I deleted it straight away. Picking up dog poo is not a hobby of mine. And more importantly, I want the answers to questions like, who is the scumbag that leaked that report? Was it tech startup cheerleader Robert Hollis? Was it Mickey Mouse? Was it Blackadder and Baldrick? Whoever the deep throat is, well done. I hope you are proud of yourself. Your actions have caused a lot more damage than good, such as the potential harm of anxiety and stress to normal people like you and me, damage to the reputation of the Māori business advisor community, damage to the wider business advisory sector, damage to government agency Callaghan Innovation, actually damage to the credibility of people I respect. And that was before the leaking to the National Business Review of family details from 19 years ago about one of the people involved. This was an attempted takedown by way of character assassination, a perfect example of tall poppy syndrome on steroids. What sort of bungholes are we dealing with here? I'm a stickler for a fair fight, but a lynch mob putting the boot to someone when they're on the ground, that is stepping over the line. Zero courage, 100% cowardice. And that was the tipping point that brought me to record this video post. Rather than aspiring to secure 5 minutes of fame, we should ask ourselves the question, how are the people involved coping? Let's not ignore the stress, primitive and toxic actions like this cause. That is what's most disappointing to me in all of this, the primitive nature of what amounts to a live streaming of a public stoning. This is not Iran. I mean, this has all the vibe of a 15th century Shakespearean public play, complete with actors comprising of villains, a Pied Piper posing as Robin Hood, hyping up the great unwashed to bay for the blood of alleged villains? Why have supposedly intelligent people resorted to behaving like an advanced breed of monkeys? The toxic and unethical way this is playing out will not end well. Everybody losers. We will all be tarred with the same brush. It's time for some of you to calm the frickin' well down so we can restore a wee bit of law and order. Trust the process and let it follow its rightful course. I'm going to close with this. If any of you are close to this, regardless of how you view it, try reaching out, not as a judge or jury, but as a colleague who accepts justice will be served, dues will be paid, and with that in mind, let's put the stink behind us and move on. Let's direct our energy to those who need it most, the small business community. Because what's more important here is we answer questions like, how do we learn from this? How do we use the lessons to make the government-funded business advisory space better than it was before? Let's use this as an opportunity to grow, not destroy. Kia ora.